I started with this lead melody. This lead was made in Serum, and I will show you how to make it. So you pick an analog sine and you change position to like the last one. So it has like this a little bit of jittering. Add a little bit of unison up to 4, and the filtering is the key here. You add MG low 12, like the standard one, and just change the resonance up to the maximum and just change the cutoff and find the spot that it will sound the best with the cutoff. You add some distortion, mix on the 100, drive on the 100, just a standard tube preset, the first one, and just some EQing. And you get this screeching lead melody. And the post-processing on the lead one. The OTT, I didn't use the Serum's OTT, I just used the Ableton one. I find the sound a little bit better, so I increased the high end and low end output, and then I just equalized it, just cut all the low and high end of the sound, and emphasize the high, mid, and mid-range of the sound. Then we add some utility just to add some width to the sound, and auto filtering for automation, like in the beginning and in the bridge sections of the song. Then we have our piano, the same notes that are used in the lead. Just added some interesting rhythm, and as you can see, I do not use any chords here, so just these 3 notes. In the post-processing we have a Valhalla delay, which I use as a reverb with hi-fi modulated plate. Then I have an equalizer, and I also cut all the low ends and high end, and I cut this like middle frequencies which are too bright in this piano, and add just a little bit of saturation to add some distortion to the piano. It's really unnecessary, but something that I did. Then we have our melody, which is just some Serum plugs. Just find the pattern that you like. So this melody is just a Serum preset. So this is like a plug sound, plug pressure from a free Aspects kit that you can find on YouTube on the Aspects channel. It has some really unique plugs that you can use, and it has this metal unnerving plugs which are perfect for the dark kind of sound. And some post-processing also with equalization, just to emphasize the high and mid-range of the sound. Some saturation to add more distortion to the sound. Valhalla Vintage Verb on the stock preset on 40% of the mix. Another equalization, I don't know why I did that, but it kind of works to emphasize on the high end a little bit more, and auto filtering for automation. Then I have like this pad, which is just a lapse piano, the same chords, just the same chords as in lead melody and in the piano. And the key about this one is just a lot of post-processing. So I have also Valhalla delay used as a reverb. Then I have the thermal distortion with dreamy lo-fi piano preset. Then I have this one, which is a wider plugin. I love this one. It gives just more room to the pad in the mix, and just some equalization to cut all the harsh frequencies and make pad out of it. And all instruments sounds kinda like this. Next we have our bass. So I have 2 basses here, which is the Reese bass, all the same notes, just 1 octave lower. Reese bass in Serum, I already showed you in several videos, just 2 oscillators with filtering, unison up, additional sub, but actually you don't really need that much sub here because we use additional 808 here. So in Reese bass we cut all the low end of the sound, then we add some auto filtering to cut the high end and automate it in the beginning of the track and in the transitions, and add some utility to add width to the Reese bass, because Reese bass will be somewhere between an atmospheric pad and just gives more room to the mix, and 808 will be our the punching kind of bass. So the 808 is a little bit more interesting because I also added some rhythmic interest to these patterns, some notes that are a little bit higher, as you can see, to give this kind of a slide effect. And the 808 here. 808 we have some newfangled saturator, which gives this distortion and this punchiness. It's too much maybe for someone, but like it works kinda in the mix. Some EQ8 to cut all unnecessary high frequencies when we are going like all these high notes in our pattern, like this one. And then we have our utility with just monos everything, because it's a sub bass, it just hits all the low end and it should be in mono. Next we have our drums. So the first one is the kick, which is, I just experimented with different kicks here. As you can see, this one, punchy, was the best one, but I changed it a lot with this drum bass, because the original sounds like this. It's alright, but it doesn't have this like flair that it needs to punch through the entire mix. So with drum bass, a lot of drive here, a little bit of crunch, 60% of boom, and a lot of transients, additional transients, and on the medium like setting. The trick with hi-hats are just, here are 2 MIDI tracks with hi-hats, and one is on the right and the other one on the left channel. Just add a sample to the simpler and just write some kind of a pattern without any gaps, and then just duplicate this pattern and remove some of the parts and change some parts of your pattern. So the hi-hats are the only thing that I did with the snare. I just added some Valhalla delay, just around 25%, just a little bit. And layered these snares with this like metal crash kind of sound. And I added additional delay, as you can see, with ping pong setting. Change the dry wet knob down to 50. It's somewhere like, it's really subtle, but it adds additional movements and also like rhythmic interest to the overall mix. Also adds some movements like this whooshes. Then just some effects, which are just transition between like drop in the beginning of the song, like here. Somewhere in the middle. So on the master I have Pro AMB. This is a cheesy thing to do actually, increase the high end of the sound. I did it because I used the tonal balance and it showed that I don't really have enough high end to the sound overall. So without fab filter, as you can see, it's too low. But when I add fab filter, so I kind of tried to stay in this range of the sound. Then I added this compressor on the master. It's an alternative to the Frontier one that I showed you in the previous video. So I changed the threshold to the -8 dB and I used the makeup gain to add this like additional 4 dB to add this punchiness to the sound. Made the attack shorter and release time just a bit longer. It was like around 100 or something. A Sooth 2 that I really like to use on the master as well. This one is low mid cleanup because we have like a low end, a lot of kick, a lot of 808 bass, so we had to do something with it. So this one is just a stock preset. Low mid cleanup is really good. And as usual, the limiter at the end. So yeah, this is pretty much it. Thank you for watching this video and I hope you enjoyed it.